Welcome to Sacred Stream Radio with Isa Gucciardi. Today, Isa discusses shamanism and dogma.
I'd like to talk about shamanism. So, shamanism is an age-old science art that has existed in probably 95% of the cultures that have ever been on the planet. And the shaman in a traditional indigenous, what we call now indigenous cultures, which are the ones that are now referred to as the ones who have manifested shamanism, have had the shaman as the center of the spiritual life, the social life in terms of problem solving, and of the healing life of the community. And a shaman can be, of course, a man or a woman, and different shamans focus on different areas of expertise. You could have a shaman who specializes, say, in bone setting, another shaman that specializes in herbal medicine, another shaman that specializes in problem solving or bringing peace to conflict. You could have another shaman that specializes in divination. You could have a shaman that works exclusively with the souls of dead people. You could have a shaman that works on physical diseases, a shaman that works on spiritual diseases, or a shaman that specializes in creating rituals that bind the group together. And of course, you could have a shaman that does several of those functions. It's not necessarily, just one or the other. And certainly depending on the culture that you find shamanism in, the ways the specialties are split up are quite different. You may have women who only do certain things, or men who only do certain things in one culture, which would be different in another culture. The shamanism that Depth Hypnosis works with and draws from is shamanism which is called core shamanism. This is a term that was coined by Michael Harner. And core shamanism are principles of shamanism which are found in many or most cultures. So I certainly have worked very hard to try to strip any kind of cultural overlay out of the techniques. Cultural overlays tend to really interfere with practice. When you have a healing practice or a spiritual practice that has had to adapt to the demands of a particular culture, often that practice will get corrupted. So what we've tried to do is to draw on principles that are common to many or most cultures. And the interesting thing about shamanism is that shamanic practices have been corrupted in almost everywhere they're practiced. And so again, we try very hard not to draw on corrupted practices that don't have a cultural overlay. For instance, practices that have to do with trying to influence outcomes of situations that are based on personal will rather than divine will. Almost every culture you find this schism. It might be called black magic, where people are working with personal will to determine outcome, as opposed to white magic, where you're using divine will to power situations. And surprisingly enough, you can have dogmatism within shamanism, which is, for me, it was very bizarre to find that out, that there are certain practices that tried to be codified, and a dogma has set in. And of course, we try to avoid those, because that's another good example of corruption, where you say, oh, you have to do the ritual this way, and if you don't do it this way, bad luck will happen, or you have to follow these prescribed sets of rules, otherwise a calamity will befall the whole group and you'll be held responsible. You find this sort of thing creating a lot of taboos and a lot of fear, and subsequently a lot of shamanic practices which are more designed in trying to appease angry spirits rather than tap into the divine power of helping spirits. So we are really focusing on learning how to work with compassionate beings in our practices, which again is common to many shamanic cultures.
Thanks for listening to Sacred Stream Radio. For more information on our training programs, you can visit us on the web at sacredstream.org. The Foundation of the Sacred Stream is a non-profit organization creating pathways to wholeness. This program was brought to you by Red Cow Records and the Foundation of the Sacred Stream.